Hi, welcome to a very special edition of ChuckChat. I'm going to go through the reinforcement loop today. I've been working on this for about a month. I've got an article posted out on LinkedIn. It's really my attempt to try and give a frame and a working solution for how the transformation of companies is actually going to work when it comes to the age of AI. My foundational premise is that the loop is different. The way that value gets created is different. It's not so different that it's a completely alien thing, but it's accelerated in so many different places and in so many different ways that unless we adapt how we do things, we are going to miss out. The transformation itself, it really is an operating system problem. It's how we operate our companies, not just a technology problem. One tool or a better tool is not going to get you the answers. So you have to take a different approach. This is a great reset. It's not a correction. It's not a cycle. I know we've had technology cycles and there's always something going on. There's always another wave of some set of change. This one is different largely because of the level of impact that it has and the pace at which that it is going. The discontinuity in how it's going to hit organizations, how it's going to develop talent, what talent's going to develop, how decisions are going to be made, what you need to do with those different decisions, and how you enact that are all going to have consequences for years to come. The models that do reasoning have dropped in cost. They've only been around for about 18 months, which by itself is an amazing stat, but they've dropped in cost from when they first came out by about 1,000 times. That is going to continue. There's more hardware coming on. There's more optimizations going on for inference. All of that's going to continue to make the ability to access that intelligence that's available that much easier, that much faster, and that much more deeply embedded into everything. And so those that move to take advantage of that, even if it can't do absolutely everything, but taking advantage of where you can is going to have a significant impact. This is the fastest growing thing in technology ever. It's amazing how fast it has taken off. It's amazing the level of impact it's already having. We're still in the early days. There's going to be disruption along the way. Again, the decisions that we make now are going to help us to make that disruption as smooth as we possibly can. It's going to touch every single role. It's not just technology. It's not just a technology or development problem. It's all the way across the board. And it's one of those things that's going to hit that decision surface all the way across. My analogy here of if you were to take a horse-drawn carriage and strap a rocket to it, strap a jet engine to it, you're not going to get the results that you think you want to get. It seems intuitive when you look at it like that. This is very much like that. You really have to have a organization, a methodology, a deployment method, which is going to take advantage of that tech, of that capability. You can't do it with the ways that we've done it in the past. AI itself compresses the reinforcement loop. So the loop of business has existed for a long time. You do something, you get feedback, you learn from it, you adapt to it, and you do some more. You start off with a specific intention trying to do that. What AI allows you to do is to be able to turn this loop faster and faster and faster, and each step within this loop also compresses and it goes quicker and quicker. And so this is not a fundamental rebuilding of the idea process, but it is one that's so different that an operating model built to consistently check things in different steps along the way is going to struggle. It's going to struggle a lot. And so this compressed reinforcement loop is really the fundamental building block of the rest of this talk. So this is one of the things that you got to get your hands dirty. And the reason why I make this point is people who are in management, leadership, senior leadership, got there by doing things. Got there because they had skills. They were a fantastic developer. They were a fantastic business leader, financial analyst, pick a discipline. And then they started to manage people and they got better at that and you got more skills. But the fact that all of these things build up together give you a certain set of references, how the world works, what it is that you expect, how hard is a task, how easy is a task, how quickly can something actually get done. And that builds a set of assumptions inside of your head. And so, with all of these things happening, the reality is that the fundamental assumptions that we have are changing. And in order to be able to adapt to that, we really got to get our hands dirty. You got to get in, you got to experience, you got to get at least one level deeper than what it is that you're asking your people to do, that you're asking the AIs to do. You got to understand what that actually is, because otherwise, those outdated references are going to cause outdated and problematic assumptions. You're going to overestimate the amount of time something's going to take. You're going to underestimate the amount that can get done by a really small team, what a really small team could do versus a very large team. You're going to set goals against pre AI baselines. All of those things are things that you only can really start to understand and adapt to once you have actually put some of these principles in play, and once you're getting your hands down and in it and you're actually doing some different work. And so that's one of the biggest messages that I have is you gotta play with it and work with it and do it for things that matter. And that's the only way to get meaningful experience. Otherwise, it's basically like trying to take a car and still treat it like a horse. Also, not going to work. Now, this is not one where I'm saying, "Hey, AI is coming along and leadership doesn't matter." Actually, leadership matters even more. If you're familiar with the multipliers research, which shows that hey, there are leaders who have a multiplier effect upon the people that they lead, and they get higher than 100%. Mathematically impossible, you would think, but it shows out. People genuinely tell that. I think there's actually an opportunity to be even more and go even higher. However, you got to understand what the differences actually are going to be able to take advantage of that. And fundamentally, as a leader, and whether you're a leader of people or whether you're a leader of a process or whether you're someone who is leading AIs, decisions still need to be made. You still got to say, okay, what's worth doing? How are we going to go about doing this? And somebody has to own the result. That is just, it's fundamental to how we have built companies. It's fundamental to how we built society. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. The model did it is not a valid defense. Nobody's going to buy it, right? It doesn't matter. If you're holding the checklist, you're responsible. Just like my little monster down here on the bottom where he's got the checklist. He knew what all the different pieces were. Yep, the AI did it, but he was responsible for its actions. Now, AI is becoming the operating system of work. What do I mean by that? I mean, when you think about the things that happen, we specify what it is that we're going to do, the plan is built, that's tasked out, then it's implemented. Repeat. So this is not a chat, AI as a chat sort of thing. This is an orchestration set of things. And the more that we understand each of those different pieces, and the fact right now, all of those are AI enabled. AI is participating in every one of those steps. It can build a better spec, it can build a better plan. You can use multiple different agents to be able to break those different things up and to accelerate every single one of them. And each one is going to have different risks in it, different dependencies in it, and each sprint or each unit of work that you undertake is going to have a different velocity, and you're going to have to be able to adjust to all those different things. You have to get really used to orchestrating these different pieces of work, and the speed and capability, or lack of capability in some cases, until it does get there, or you get your processes in order to be able to reassess and take advantage of how things are going to work. So all of that, again, orchestration, listening to many things, understanding what the whole is, and then adapting from there. Three big forces are driving the transformation and the need for the transformation. As AI goes through right now, regular work, knowledge work, a lot of work, is there's friction. That's part of why they pay you to do it, I guess. 40 to 60% of knowledge work is formatting something, building a better document, doing your TPS reports, synthesizing information, breaking that down. AI does that all day long without complaint, very quickly. And the cost of that is going down and down and down and down. Now, it's not zero yet, but it's driving it down towards zero. And as that gets removed, it frees people up to be able to do more valuable work and to be able to do more meaningful things for customers. It removes knowledge bottlenecks. So the reason why it removes knowledge bottlenecks is, yeah, okay, great. You're still going to end up, if somebody's got only one person has that knowledge in their head, you have to be able to extract it in some way. But being able to tap an intelligence that knows how to build a better spreadsheet, how to build a better plan, how to build a better set of code, how to build a whatever, those things are incredibly valuable. And for a long time, you couldn't scale. You couldn't get enough developers to be able to build what it is that you want to do. You couldn't build enough plan to be able to do what it is that you wanted to be able to do. This is one of those things that we're going to continue to see that particular bottleneck get shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And so being able to adapt to that and take advantage of it is going to differentiate those companies that can. And then last, processes are going to begin to self-improve. This is a new building block. This is a fundamentally different way to operate. It's like being in a building that transforms itself based upon what it is that you're doing in the building that day. The agents don't just execute, they're going to observe, they're going to iterate, they're going to try something. There's numerous different examples now of reinforcing learning on a different process. Try something, do it a little bit better. You're going to see this actually happen, whether it's OpenClaw or any of the different agentic pieces that are currently out there. You can see the initial glimmer of where this is going to go. Companies are going to have to adapt to be able to allow those processes to self-improve, but also to be able to govern and understand them. So data still makes the world go round. It doesn't matter how smart your AI is or how capable it is that you as a system have. If you don't have data, AI is powerful, but it is not magic. So, a lot of cases in a lot of companies, data is still hung together by knowledge in people's heads. It's still put together and delivered in value ways that only a certain set of processes, weird and magical at times feeling, that are run by humans, actually go through and make happen. AI can't make that just go away. It can help to make it better. It also is one where if you don't adjust and you don't address it, it will make bad decisions confidently, which is actually probably worse. So you have to understand, hey, we're here to serve customers. How do we actually break up some of that bureaucracy? How do we actually take some of this different data and be able to put it into real structures that AI can take advantage of? And while AI is going to get better and better at helping us to be able to do that, that's something which is going to take real work. It's going to take some real investment. It's going to take some real time and some actual people know-how. I got more in my written word on how to be able to do some of this and some different suggestions on it. Hopefully, it's worth checking out. The management unit itself is changing as we go about this transformation. So the two in a box thing is not new. A bit of business person, a technical person, or some combination thereof to be able to get work done. I think that's going to continue. I think we're going to see more and more of that. Somebody who is deeply steeped in what the business problem is that you're trying to solve, and somebody who is deeply steeped in what all the different capabilities are, what the latest and greatest capabilities that you can bring to bear are. I think that's going to be the unit that continues to go through. You can augment each one of those with an AI or a series of AIs that can all help to be able to do that. You're also going to see many agent mode. And this is what I'm calling more of like the air traffic control model, where there's so many things going on, and you as an individual can only keep track of so much, right? We've only got so much cache inside of our own heads. We can only bring so many things to bear. And so you're going to have to treat this sort of like an air traffic control. What are the exceptions? What things really need to be taken care of? What things can we ignore? What's just noise? How do we instrument those things to be able to feed that and make that decision fatigue as low as we possibly can, and to make the right decisions, the correct decisions for where we want the company to go, the right decisions? Again, this is one of those ones where this is an org design shift, not just a tooling shift. So building a better UX by itself will not solve it. How you empower, how you take humans from execution mode to supervisor mode, how you give them the tools and techniques to be able to do that is fundamental to the success level here. Along that same line, the career ladder is going to change. Rather than a ladder, it's a lattice. This is not a new change. This is something that HR teams have been talking about for a long time. They're always more valuable if you have more skills and you can go wider and you can do things. What I believe is going to happen is, we've talked about the T-shaped person for a while, somebody who's deep and wide in a bunch of things and deep in one particular things. I think we're going to see more letters of the alphabet. You want E or Z or weird glyph characters. The ability to go deep in many things and have more domain knowledge is going to enable you to be able to have better context, to be able to do more around delivering, be able to bring different things together that you wouldn't otherwise have been able to do, and remove some of that friction from that actual execution. To be able to do that, any company that is going to go AI native and that is going to go at the pace that they're going to be able to do has to be a learning focused organization. Courage, curiosity, creativity, grit, because it's not just those C's of getting stuff done. You also got to have, things are going to go wrong. And when it goes wrong, you have to be able to have the fortitude to be able to continue to try something else, be curious enough to be able to try something else, and the courage to be able to stand in for that when it fails. Now, another important paradox here, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of these friction points in a little bit, but one of the important friction points on this one is we may optimize for speed, but if we're only optimizing for speed, we are going to be deprioritizing learning. Humans learn by friction. When we don't know how to do something, when we try something, when we fail, that's how you get experience. That's how it sticks. And many people learn in different ways. Some learn by reading, some learn by reaching out, some read hearing. All of those things are valid. We have to make sure that we are engineering our systems to be able to provide people the right experiences and the right level of friction to be able to actually continue that learning. Otherwise, you may end up in a place where you have a dearth of talents. You don't have enough people to be able to do the things that you actually need to do. Well, all of this does require governance. You can't go at the right pace and the right speed in any sort of a free for all or in any sort of a highly governed thing. It's inevitable, and every single company out there wants to. You have to do the right thing. In order to do the right thing, you set up governance. You want to set some controls. You want to set some visibility, etc. And a lot of times, what happens is then you crawl to a halt. And so, this framework is really intended to say, okay, what can you do? You got to be able to facilitate learning. So you got to have an open but bounded area, one where you can't have sensitive data. You don't have any IP in there. You want to focus on literacy. You're letting people learn. You've got the right ecosystem of tools to be able to do that. The right things are open. When you're going to take and go for permission to build, that's a different lane. It's going to have a different pace. That different pace is going to be one where here's the paved road of things. These are the things that we have the ability to do, that we have the run to be able to do, we have capacity to be able to run, et cetera, et cetera. Here's your approved set of things. Go ahead and build. Once we've approved the different patterns that you're using, build and build and build. And then permission to operate. Once you get to a certain point, you have to pass security and audit and all the other different things. And all the way through this, you have to bring along your friends in security and audit and all of that. It's not against them. They're there for a reason, and we have to make sure that all of these different tiers build upon one another to be able to have that safety, enable that speed when we need that speed, and when we can take advantage of the right things. So these tensions I alluded to before, I hit on one of them, but there's a number of different ones. So friction versus speed. You can't learn unless there's enough friction that you're going to learn, but you also want to go fast and you want to deliver value quickly. So how do you balance those different ones out? These are all spectrums. They're not one, there's no one right answer. Every company is going to have to look at this set of things and make decisions to say, this is where we are, this is where we're going, this is how we're going to get there. The autonomy versus accountability. How automatic do you want something to be? How much accountability and who takes that accountability? Be explicit, figure it out. That's how you're going to move faster. Specialization versus breadth. When is it okay to be T-shaped? When do you need a different shape? When do you want somebody to be able to handle all of the different things or just one particular thing? And then how do you dive in all that stuff to value? And then central versus distributed. Sometimes centralization and control is the right thing. There are times where you have data that is that sensitive. You don't want it to be able to be spread all that far out. There's other places where, it should be fine. We can distribute these things. We can loosen some of that control. And so figuring out where those expectations are and being as explicit as you can is one of the things that's going to really make that so it can go faster. So what do you do about this? Try to say, here's what you can do on Monday morning. Get in the tools. Do it now. Get your whole leadership team, get anybody who you can, get in the tools, spend it that whole week. Do it. 8 hours. Just spend the time going through real work, real things, real outputs. Map the friction. Figure out, okay, what are some of those things? If 40 to 60% of your team's time is in friction, let's figure out where some of the big meaningful ones are, and let's throw a revamped process at it. Not start from where we were, but start from what the end is, and then work your way back from the customer to how are you going to actually change that customer's life utilizing all the latest and greatest tools. And then declare boundaries. I hit on this as I was just on the governance slide, but the more you can say out loud, this is what's okay, this is what's not okay. Explicit permissions beats implicit or silent anytime. This is not the time to wait. This is the time to act. I really believe that the decisions and the actions that we take right now are going to have consequences and pay out over many years to come. If you want to read more, you can check it out on my LinkedIn. I'm going to have a link down below in the comments. If you like this sort of stuff, subscribe, give me a like, hit that bell. You'll get more and more comments, more and more information on all kinds of random things. Not just stuff like this, other things that I find interesting too. Hope it's been a good one. Hope everybody has a great day. Thank you very much.